After I changed to represent myself as a dragon warrior, night fell, and the dragon woman was in a trance-like state. Perhaps this is how dragons sleep. She then began to speak. She won't sleep in the name of her lord? Is this really necessary? I then remembered Tolier's concoction. If I remember correctly, he stated that he could even put a dragon to sleep. Surely her lord would rather keep her strength up, and I'm eager to test Tolier's capabilities. Wow, that was instant. She's out cold. Waiting to know the results, I rested by her to see when she may wake up. Besides, she'd be an easy kill without protection during her rest. Before I knew it, it was dawn, and she was still sound asleep. I really hope she isn't in a coma. I felt responsible, so I stayed by her side. Night fell again, and she finally awake.
I have broken my pledge. I succumb to the deep slumber that was meant for my lord. It was a great act of a foul and lone beast. Forgive me, good warrior, my lord. Will no longer look on me. I have fallen from grace. An old dragon, no longer. Go. Leave me be. Go. Leave me be. My lord will no longer live.
Now, after hearing that, I felt greatly responsible. She apparently made a vow to her lord, and I made her break it. I'm not under her lord, but I felt I've made a grave misdeed indeed. I may not be accomplished, but I hope this armor isn't consuming me to cause acts of misdeed. I've got to make this right, so now I vow to kill this Bale under her guidance, as a way of redemption, I suppose. So I put searching for a flame to reach Mikola aside for now. I set off to reach Bale at the mountaintop. With the help of Torrent, I scaled the mountain as the storm slowly grew stronger. The higher I rose, the stronger the storms became. Then, as I've gotten about halfway, I witnessed two drakes fighting each other. Neither one would consider me an ally, so I weakened both from afar. And when one fell, I took on the winner. Then, after the battle, I've heard a familiar voice.
What a sight! A warrior true, if ever one there was. A fellow Drake warrior. Eagle. Piteous. Egon, do you not remember? Conjure your past, how once you were, when fear was yet foreign to you.
It was that man in horrible agony from before. How did he make it all the way up here?
Drake Warrior, dear friend, grant me this one wish. Take this finger, my finger, scale the jagged peak, face Baal the Dread, and when you do, summon me. Summon my soul. My limbs are limbs no more. My heart is twice over filled with fear. But a Drake warrior I remain, and my soul yet lies on the mountain. Proud Drake warrior, I beg of you, scale the jagged peak, face Baal the Dread, and when you do, summon me. Summon my soul.
I do plan to face this monster out of repentance. Of course I'll grant your wish. We just met, but witnessing you here and listening to your voice, I see you had more heart than anyone I've ever met. Alone you lost, but together we may just have a chance. I'll see you up there. After speaking with him and witnessing how the storms became even more intense, I was more excited than fearful. That man's deep resolve and hatred for Baal really set a blaze of ambition within me. I must slay this dragon. The mountain itself became perilous as I traversed forward. Whew! And even more deceased drakes were on the path. This must be the most terrible of dragons out of all of them. As I've gotten near the top, I stopped to look at the sky, and it was almost as intense as Egon's voice. Just amazing. I really hope I make it through this and tell my friends about it. Back at home. This feeling is too much. Excitement, fear, joy, rage, all in one. Rage that's not even my own I can feel in this environment. I wanted to savor the moment, but it was time to go. Finally, I've reached the summit. I gave Torrent a treat as my thanks of helping me get up here. Then I prepared myself and thought, if I win this, that dragon woman's lord shall forgive her, and Egon gets his revenge. I then entered battle ready, and I was swiftly greeted with fear incarnate. Baal himself. Baal was in a terribly damaged state, a clipped wing with bones sticking out, torn off leg, and just battle wounds all over himself. and yet he was still immensely powerful and terrifying. Igon, where are you? There you are.
Hear my vow. You will rule this day. Behold, a true great warrior, and I, God. Your fears made flesh.
Fighting this dragon was tough, but Igon's passion kept me going.
But I will riddle with holes your rotten hide. With a hail of harpoons. With every last drop of my being.
Yeah, we can win this, Igon! As the fighting went on, the battle got even more intense. Victory was within our reach, but then Argon! We killed him, Igon. That dragon was strong. I'm sure if it was in top shape, we wouldn't have been able to kill it. So all the drakes and magma worms were the product of an ideal lord promising the power of dragons in order to kill its nemesis. Well, the nemesis is no more. It was an honor to fight by your side, Igon, and to be able to help grant your final wish in killing Baal. The dragon did learn to know fear today. Fear that you brought, and along with it, the most terrifying dragon shared its final breath with the most terrifying dragon warrior, Igon. Our meeting was short, but you will forever be buried into my memory. Rest in peace, Igon. I don't feel as if this was a form of redemption, but it was the least that I could do. Even though Baal was no more, Florisax stated that her lord abandoned her, and I asked her for forgiveness for my part in that result. She asked to travel with me, and perhaps one day we may reach her lord. I of course said yes, in the hope to make things right with her and her lord. As you wish, Lady Florisax. I do feel responsible for this. May we reunite you with your lord. It's time I leave. I began to do a more broad exploration, and I've come across a strange rune bear. It was bigger than the average rune bear, more hulking, and was covered in thick scarlet fur, but I was up for the challenge. After a struggle, I felled this beast. I couldn't help but feel some type of familiarity with what I witnessed. After scouting the area, I found clues. People hunted these bears for sport, for the glory of battle. Interesting, but irrelevant to me, so I've moved on. I decided to return to the Skadu altars. I remembered there was a castle that I never visited yet, so I felt it was about time that I did that. After a quick ride and a short battle, I thanked my steed for helping me. Like always, before I entered the castle. I knew it was inevitable, but I didn't expect to run into old allies so quickly. But right at the top, Hornson and Freya were already here. I suppose we all had the same idea. I was able to pretend being allies. Besides, working together seemed to be the better option anyway. We don't know what to expect in this place. A hippopotamus? This fight was proving more difficult even for the three of us. And then the unexpected happened. But eventually, we won unscathed. Hornson and Freya went on ahead, but I stayed behind to take a look around into things. Like I've stated earlier, we didn't know what to expect. So these lands were part of the lands between, but became enshrouded in shadow. And the Crucible Knights had roots here that seemed to be lost to these lands. Also, I've still never solved the mystery of why Queen Marika is hated here, while still having devout followers. Is it more of a sense of hate due to fear, or could it possibly be hate due to a one-sided love? This is beyond me, I'm afraid. I finally left this room and found a lingering spirit. My theory of a one-sided love seems to apply. Do the inhabitants of these lands feel abandoned by the Queen? I wonder how long these lands were lost for it seems to be no sign of Radagon. The corridors ahead were filled with soldiers and black knights that Hornson and Freya seem to have missed. When I made it back outside, the place was decorated with poles symbolizing impalement, so I figured this place must be Mesmer's lair. I've explored the other end to its limits and saw a ladder to my right. This place looks rather hidden. That Dragon Peak. Funny, I was just there. After I admired the painting, I noticed the poorly painted wall to my left. This wall looks as if it was poorly covering a secret. How right I was. Now curious, I had to see what the secrets were kept here. A coffin, huh? Well, it wouldn't be the first time I've climbed in one. I wonder where I'll end up this time. I seem to have awakened within a ravine with a rather gentle atmosphere. I stepped outside of the room and noticed that the area was full of scraps of those furnace giants. And I was apparently still in the Scadu Altus, only in a ruins at the bottom of a cliff. I only wondered, why was that path hidden? This seems nothing like the Volcano Manor secret. Perhaps this was just an abandoned back door. After looking around, I hopped on Torrent and rode across the ravine. There was an active furnace giant, but we were able to avoid it. The path led to the side of a mountain with large insects I'd first seen at Ballarat. The path I began to descend down to a dark and foggy area. Nothing too alarming. When I reached the bottom, there were more coffins decorated as a path. Could this be the purpose of that fake wall? The path led me to a door that resembled the catacombs, but I was curious about this one, more so due to the decorated entrance. I wonder what's in store for me ahead. This place was very dark, so I needed to have my wits about me. However, this place did provide a means of illuminating the floors. As I went further, it was a repeat to find a lever for light and then an elevator. I eventually reached the very bottom and prepared myself for the Guardian. But this Guardian was rather different. It was a mage, but this mage seemed more light-oriented, but also sinister. When I've gotten a closer look, I notice I fought this type of mage before. Right before I reached the Bony Village. However, this one was far stronger and had more abilities. Really knew how to force me not to be so aggressive. After patience, I was able to gain the upper hand and defeat him. What was that just now? Seems to be a completely different priest than Brother Corin. Is that what this... Is that what's a priest after all? If that was a priest at all. So he was sort of a torturer. For whom, I wonder? The guilty like the briars? I then observed the location that I was in. That looked more scorched, but residue from the flames was still active. I felt this may be exactly what I'm looking for, a special flame to reach Mikola. These flames can perhaps even burn the impenetrable thorns of the Erd tree. Let's go, Torrent. We must be on the right track. Torrent? Torrent's afraid? Why, Torrent? What's wrong? As if you can speak anyway, but something that actually scares Torrent must be bad, or overwhelmingly powerful. I know I should turn back, but I'm like a cat. I just hope I don't end up like the curious one. The trees looked so dead by unordinary burns that it really did look as if the burns that did this are the type of flame that I need. However, I noticed the shallow waters that I was in, and it was as if the water itself had an eerie look to it. This place was closed off and guarded for a reason. Maybe unwise, but I explored. As I traversed on foot, I saw this place did sustain life with animals. However, something was odd about their eyes, so I went in for a closer look. Then I remembered. The same eyes of the inhabitants of that ailing village, which I've now learned is associated with the frenzied flame. This place. The flame of frenzy ruined this place. But what caused it? I need to know more. A little further ahead, a madman attacked me. The flames cause madness to all survivors. Not only did I find it more difficult to traverse on foot, but I persevered and came across more faith mages to fight through. However, I was not prepared for what happened next. After I finally experienced madness myself, I've understood why Torrent is so frightened by all of this. The flame of frenzy is too dangerous. But after running so much from that entity, I was so deep to turn back. I was in too deep. Out here meant a maddening death, so I climbed up to look for shelter. Looks like there's a place that can provide shelter over there. Doesn't look too far either. So I headed down in this direction and stumbled across an even more disturbing sight. Corpses? What in the world? They're all headless corpses with golden stakes replaced in their necks. What in the name of the Erd Tree is this? I'm in too deep to turn back, so it was either stay here or risk what could be inside. I chose the abandoned manor. Inside was expected, full of unkept junk, cobwebs, and decay. But then I heard a voice.
Come no closer. No closer, I say. The madness wears.
I was warned, but I had no means of escaping this place, nor contact from the outside, but I saw a lingering spirit. I was hoping to provide a way out, but no. So I left my curious nature to take hold and explored. Judging from the portrait, this place was beautiful once. Who brought the flame here and why? Perhaps a change is in order. This is no place for a dragon warrior. Let's see. This will do. The samurai armor that Yusrei gifted me. This painting did look out of place. I knew it. This place is too decayed for that well-preserved painting. I need more clues than this. Not this thing again. I really hate fighting those. This was like a small labyrinth, a bunch of dead ends and hidden enemies. Another lingering spirit. This Midra must be the one responsible for all of this. That explains why Torrent is so fearful of this place. This flame can permanently kill him. Another man in agony. I should have known there were more of you torturers here. Another well-preserved painting. I wonder if that's Midra. And who is she? A finger maiden, perhaps? Let's try this again. Yep. After navigating and jumping across large bookcases, I've come across an important-looking corpse. Flame to the spinal column. Ouch! But the failed Lord of Frenzied Flame. Could it be Midra, perhaps? I finally located the screaming man in pain, and it was none other than Midra himself. He looked as if he had golden stake in his head, similar to the bodies outside. Am I sure I wish to enter? I contemplated turning back or attempting to converse with Midra. I'm here for a reason. Let's get answers.
Depths of your foolishness!
Midra attacked and was in no mood to talk, but I felt a need to put him out of his misery. I thought I killed him, but then...
Enough. I have endured more than enough.
Ouch!
I ask you forgive me, dearest Nanaya.
This was too gruesome to witness. The true face of the frenzied flame. Midra transformed into the flaming monstrosity. I wasn't sure if I could win, but I had no choice but to try. My life depended on it. I was outmatched, but didn't let up. I hoped that ice lightning would aid me in extinguishing this flame. The fight became more intense. I thought for sure I was going to die. I kept my offense up and eventually fell before I did. Eventually fell. I couldn't believe I actually won. The flame of frenzy was far too dangerous. I needed to find another way. I see why Melina encouraged me not to seek this flame before.
If you intend to claim the frenzied flame, I ask that you cease. It is not to be meddled with. It is chaos, devouring life and thought unending. However ruined this world has become, however mired in torment and despair, life endures. Births continue. There is beauty in that. Is there not? If you would become Lord, do not deny this notion. Please, leave the frenzied flame alone.
Perhaps I needed to see this for myself to learn. It's about time I leave. This place can now decay in peace.